Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another show of the NAU Sports Show. My name is Casey. I hope all of you are having a fabulous night. Thank you for hopping on if you're watching live or if you're watching on a replay on either Facebook, Twitter, or YouTube. Either way, I welcome you in. Hey, this is game 4 for NAU. They were supposed to have game 4 last week, but Cal Poly decided to opt out after having a winless 3 games to start their season. I was supposed to have Lance Hartzler today, but things happen and that's okay. Today, I have a special guest and I'm going to bring here very soon. So NAU for the spring season so far is 1-2. With the win being in week 1 at home in Flagstaff versus Southern Utah, where they won the Grand Canyon Trophy. NAU is going to Cedar City tomorrow, 7 p.m. Central, 5 p.m. Arizona time, to face Southern Utah for the second time this season to try to keep the Grand Canyon Trophy where it belongs in Flagstaff. Today, I have a special guest, the Associate Athletic Director of Northern Arizona University, Stacen Asobi. How are you, Stacen?
I'm doing great. Thanks so much for having me, Casey.
Thank you so much for coming on. It's a pleasure to have you. Hey, let's kind of get right into it, okay? Last time the Lumberjacks played, they were at Weber State looking like they were going to get a major upset with only a few seconds left in the game. But we all know how that happened. It didn't. Weber State with a Hail Mary ended the hopes and ended the game 28-23 Weber. NAU has had 2 weeks off again to really practice and try to get that taste out of their mouth and really fix those issues that they were having. Have you been able to talk to Coach Ball about how practice is going? What does he have to say about everything?
Obviously it's very frustrating, for Coach Ball and the football program. I mean, if you go even before the Cal Poly game, we were supposed to have played Idaho, in week 3. And as it goes right now, Idaho was struck with some COVID issues, and we, eventually had to postpone that game until next week, when we're back in the Sky Dome. So this is the second time that, Coach Ball and the football program has had to deal with being really adaptable to the circumstances. And but I think if you were to ask him, as frustrating as it may be to not know if you're going to play this week or not know who you're going to play this week, they're very fortunate to be in the position to be healthy enough to play football. Not everyone is fortunate to be in that position right now, even within our own conference. So I think it's easy to be frustrated, but they've handled it, they've adapted, and we're looking to get a win this tomorrow in Cedar City.
Definitely. We've had quite a rivalry with Southern Utah, and that's why we have the Grand Canyon Trophy. What are your thoughts on Southern Utah leaving the Big Sky and going for the WAC and that unknown? How is NAU going forward after next fall? Are we going to be scheduled with Southern Utah for the next few years?
I think at the moment right now, our non-conference schedule, because obviously once Southern Utah moves to the WAC, that'll become a non-conference game, and you're only allowed in a normal year. You're allowed 3, maybe 4 non-conference games. And I believe at the moment our non-conference schedule is booked for the next handful of seasons. But I'm sure if Coach Ball and our administration, led by Mike Marlowe, if we can get Southern Utah on the schedule, moving forward, I'm sure that's going to be something that they'll explore.
Sounds good to me. Now let's talk about quarterbacks, because both sides on both teams are really interesting. we have Keandre Watsi on NAU. So far, he has, been really good. He was injured for a little bit. I don't really want to say injured. He got roughed up a little bit over at Eastern Washington. But so far, he has 2 touchdowns, and he can run, and he has an arm. We also have redshirt sophomore, I believe it is, Jeff Widener for NAU, who has been showing a lot of promise. On Southern Utah's side, we have Justin Miller, who has 13 touchdowns and has also been able to show that he can run, and he has had 3 interceptions. How is the quarterback game going for NAU right now, and what kind of remarks does Coach have to say about that?
I know Coach Ball is really pleased with both the play of Keandre and Jeff, as you alluded to. Keandre, I think the things that stand out about Keandre is, the stats don't pop out at you. They're not Case Cookus numbers. And for so many years, us in Flagstaff were blessed to have Case Cookus, under center. But I think what's been really impressive about Keandre is he's shown the ability when it comes down, when it's crunch time and you need to drive. Keandre Woodty has orchestrated some very fascinating 2-minute drills type drives. The first game in which we beat Southern Utah, Keandre Woodty marched the team down the field and eventually tossed a game-winning touchdown to Coleman Owen. And 2 weeks ago out there in Ogden, I think we took over the drive starting at the 7-yard line inside the 10-yard line and to go 90+ yards down the field. And Keandre ran that touchdown in, which we all thought was going to be the game winner. That's what I really like about Keandre right now is his grittiness. His senior leadership is really showing when you need it most. And you look at someone like Jeff. Jeff came in that Southern Utah drive, or the Southern Utah game, excuse me, one drive. He had one drive and he went down the field and scored a touchdown. I believe he ran it in himself. And Jeff Widener has looked great throughout his time. He's had moments in every game, drives that are his, and no matter the time of the game. And both have played really well. And the future looks very bright for NAU football at the quarterback position.
Yeah, it's really been very fun and fascinating to watch both players kind of grow into their roles and see them play and build onto what they already know. Hey, another person I kind of want to talk about real quick is a player that has really been showing his A game, and that is Drayson Hall, 191 yards of rushing. Something that NAU really kind of didn't have a lot of last year. They had some good players, but just not the rushing. We're starting to really see that, especially coming with Drayson Hall. What do you know about Drayson?
Drayson's got a little bit of an interesting backstory, at least as it pertains to our opponent this week, Southern Utah. Coming out of high school, I believe it was Higley High School down in the Valley, 2-3 years ago. He committed to Southern Utah originally, and we lost out. I know our previous coaching staff was really high on Drayson at the time. Drayson ended up going on a mission, church mission, and when he returned and it was time to play college football, he decided Flagstaff was actually where he wanted to be. And I think a big part of that was Coleman Owen, caught the game-winning touchdown against the Thunderbirds, back in February. They were high school teammates, really close friends. And I really do think Coleman Owen's a big reason why Drayson Hall, ultimately on a second try by Coach Ball and his staff, is now a Lumberjack. And as you mentioned, almost 200 yards rushing on the season, the bulk of that coming against one of the best defenses in the country in Weber State 2 weeks ago. Drayson Hall's been really impressive in his first season.
He really is. Everyone just kind of gets around him and just lets him through. He can get through any kind of hole that you put in there. Okay, so once again, Northern Arizona faces Southern Utah this week, tomorrow, for the second time this year. And once again, it is for the Grand Canyon Trophy. When you think of the Grand Canyon Trophy and the rivalry between NAU and SUU, what are your thoughts?
I think college sports is always better when you have rivalries, and in the conference, you look at Montana State. I think that's the kind of the cream of the crop in terms of rivalries in the Big Sky Conference. But you look everywhere, college football, you've got Ohio State, Michigan, you've got Alabama, Auburn, and the list goes on and on. And in basketball, you've got Duke and North Carolina. College sports, college athletics is always better with rivalries. And it's with the geographic map of the Big Sky being so spread out, we were prior to Southern Utah coming into the conference, I believe before the 2012 year, we were kind of on an island on our own, without a geographical rival. And to create that rivalry with Southern Utah and the battle for the Grand Canyon Trophy, it just makes things more fun. It adds a little more spice to every time you kick off versus the Thunderbirds. There's something on the line. You're playing for it, and you can see how much it means to the guys after the game in the Sky Dome. Almost 6 weeks ago, what it meant to get that trophy back in our hands. And we've never gone into Cedar City and left with the trophy. In this rivalry, we've never won back-to-back games against Southern Utah. It's been a series that the Thunderbirds have kind of dominated. And sometimes they pulled out some close wins, including, I believe it was a 31-30 loss for NAU back in 2019 when we went out there. So it's been a tough rivalry. And, you want to – it's one thing to win the trophy back, but you want to go and you want to keep it. Now we've got to keep the trophy. Especially with Southern Utah on its way out to the WAC. So it's fun, it's intense, and it means a lot to both sides.
It really does. If we can keep the trophy, keep it in Flagstaff, in the fall, Southern Utah comes back to Flagstaff for the final time before they go to the WAC.
Yes.
Stacen, thank you so much for coming. It was a pleasure. I know it was very short notice. Hey, before I let you go, is there anything you would like to say?
No, I'd just like to say, thank you to all of our Lumberjack fans on behalf of our entire athletic department. It's been a tough year. COVID has been tough on all of us. And we can't wait to have you all back in the walk-up Sky Dome, hopefully come August or September when the fall season comes around. But thank you all for your support from near, from far, and that includes you, Casey. Thank you for everything that you do for NAU athletics and really putting a spotlight on our coaches and student athletes. And it's been a pleasure to be on the podcast.
Well, thank you for officially becoming a guest. All right, Stacen, I will talk to you soon, okay?
Absolutely. Thanks so much, Casey. Go Lumberjacks.
Go Lumberjacks. Thank you once again this Saturday, tomorrow, 4/10, April 10th. I believe it's 7 Central, 5 Arizona time, or 6 if you're in Utah. We're going to keep the trophy. Grand Canyon Trophy is staying in Flagstaff. I hope all of you have a fantastic night. Don't miss the game. And until next time, always remember, never forget, root NAU. Have a good night.